I stood frozen, staring at the crisp wedding invitation that wasn't meant for me. My hands shook as I realized I, her father, was not invited to the most important day of her life. The embossed letters on the envelope stared back at me like an accusation, each word a reminder of something I'd been denied. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. This wasn't possible. How could it be? I had always been there for Camille, her protector, her guide. I was supposed to walk her down the aisle, to be her anchor as she stepped into the next chapter of her life. But now, it seemed I was invisible. The silence in the room weighed heavy as I stared at the invitation, a painful realization slowly sinking in. My own daughter had chosen to leave me out. I barely moved as I set the invitation down on the kitchen table. I needed to understand what had just happened. My heart pounded in my chest as I turned to Jillian, my wife, sitting calmly with her tea. I had hoped she might offer some explanation, some reassurance. But when I asked her, her response was casual, almost dismissive. "It's just a wedding. You're overreacting," she said, barely looking up from her mug. The words hit harder than I expected. How could she be so indifferent? Was this really how she felt about what was happening? I had always thought we were a team, but now I felt like an outsider in my own home. "I was supposed to walk her down the aisle," I muttered, my voice breaking. Jillian shrugged, unbothered. It was as if she hadn't understood the depth of what was at stake. I was alone with my hurt. I thought back to all the moments where I had been there for Camille. I had been the one to pick her up when she fell off her bike, the one to brush away the tears when her first crush let her down. There were the late night talks when she confided in me about her fears, her hopes, her dreams. I had been her rock, and when she danced at her ballet recitals, I was the dad in the front row, cheering the loudest, my voice breaking with pride. I had never missed a moment in her life. I remembered when she had her first heartbreak. She was a mess, and I was the one who sat with her, holding her hand and telling her everything would be okay. I had always been there, even when Jillian had her own way of dealing with things, distant and cold. But I had never been absent when it came to Camille. Yet now, this invitation, this cruel, silent gesture, reminded me that all those years of being her support meant nothing. I had been replaced, left behind without so much as a second thought. The confusion and hurt were overwhelming. Part of me wanted to scream. I wanted to stand in front of her and demand answers, demand to know why she had done this to me, why I wasn't enough to be a part of her special day. But another part of me was scared. If I fought for my place in her life, would it just make things worse? Was I supposed to beg for a spot in her world, to lower myself and plead for her love and attention? I couldn't imagine doing that. And yet, walking away from it all felt like I was giving up, accepting that my daughter didn't want me there. The internal tug of war left me feeling torn and helpless, not knowing which direction to go. How had it come to this? Was I supposed to let her go or fight for something that might not even exist anymore? I knew I couldn't stay in this house, haunted by the silence and the unanswered questions. The weight of it all was suffocating. I needed to get away, to breathe, to find something that wasn't tied to this pain. So, I made a decision. Without thinking twice, I opened my laptop and booked a flight. Santorini. A place I had always dreamed of visiting. A place far removed from the chaos and the hurt. It was my escape, my way of telling myself that I didn't need their approval. For the first time, I was doing something for me, without second guessing. I wasn't going to beg for a place in their lives. I was going to find peace on my own, far from the shadows of rejection. The ticket was booked. I was leaving. As I sat in the airport, the hum of the terminal and the clink of suitcase wheels seemed to dull the storm in my mind. The flight to Santorini was a blur, a world of its own. As the plane ascended, I felt like I was shedding the weight of everything I've been carrying for years. The expectations, the misunderstandings, the unspoken tension that had quietly built up in my family. It wasn't just about the wedding. No, the invitation had been the breaking point, the symbol of everything I had tried to ignore for so long. The small, unnoticed moments, the silent dinners, the cold exchanges with Jillian had all led to this moment. For years, I had been pushing my feelings down, trying to be the father I thought they wanted me to be, but they hadn't asked for that version of me. And now, as I flew farther away from them, I realized the truth. I had been invisible for a long time. This wasn't just a rejection of the wedding. It was the culmination of years of neglect, of being unseen. Santorini, with its crystal waters and whitewashed buildings, offered a contrast, a fresh start, a place where I could finally breathe. I stepped out of the taxi and onto the stone pathway leading to the villa. The sun bathed everything in golden light, casting a warm glow over the white walls of the building. The air was different here, salt and sea, freedom. The ocean sparkled below like it was showing off just for me. But even as I took it all in, something was missing. The beauty of this place couldn't drown out the ache that still gnawed at me. The feeling of being erased, of being left behind by the one person I had loved more than anything in the world. Camille was my daughter. I had been there for every pivotal moment in her life. And now I wasn't even considered worthy enough to share in the most significant moment of hers. The peace around me was undeniable, but so was the emptiness in my chest. I wasn't part of her world anymore, and it was harder to accept than I had anticipated. I spent the days in Santorini, letting the stillness settle into me. There was a sense of freedom, but also an unexpected clarity. Maybe I would never understand why Camille had excluded me, but I was beginning to see that it wasn't about understanding anymore. It was about accepting what I couldn't change and freeing myself from the weight of the past. One evening, as I sat on the balcony with my feet propped up, I snapped a photo of the view, the endless blue of the ocean stretching before me. I posted it with the simple caption, "Silence looks good on me." The words felt right. For the first time in a long time, I didn't need anyone's approval to be at peace. I wasn't going to keep fighting for a place in their lives when it was clear they didn't want me there. I was free. And for the first time in years, that felt like enough. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if Camille will ever understand why I wasn't there for her wedding, but I do know one thing. I'm not going to beg for a place in their lives anymore. I'm not going to keep trying to earn their love or approval. I spent too many years chasing after something that was never mine to grasp. I'm learning to live for myself, to let go of the past, and to embrace the quiet strength that comes with acceptance. The future is unknown, but I'm finally ready to face it on my own terms.